A lion does not need the jungle's approval to roar, and neither does the Sigma male. What's good, Ascenders? This isn't a feel-good fairy tale or another tired list of 10 things high-value men want. This is a surgical dive into the rare breed of woman who doesn't just keep up with a Sigma. She stands beside him without losing herself. She's not the loudest. She's not the most seen. But she's the one that makes a Sigma pause and stay. This video isn't about fantasy. It's about frequency. The energy match that goes beyond looks, status, or charm. So if you're someone who lives by your own code, and you're not looking to fit into the matrix of fake affection and fast validation, subscribe to Sigma Ascends. Here we don't follow trends, we ascend beyond them. 1. The signal reader. Most people communicate through noise. They talk to be heard. They fill space with words. But a Sigma, he's not about noise. He's about signal, and the woman who can walk with him doesn't need the noise either. She reads energy before speech. She notices the micro-signals, the way his tone drops when he's focused, the silence that says more than 10 paragraphs. She knows when he's recharging, not retreating. She respects that silence doesn't mean distance, it means depth. This woman doesn't ask, "Why aren't you talking to me?" She already knows the answer. She knows that Sigma men are internal. They process first, speak later. That doesn't scare her. It actually makes her lean in. When others misread him as distant, arrogant, or unavailable, she sees the truth. He's selective, intentional, and when he opens up, it's not casual, it's sacred. She knows not to interrupt the transmission with her own frequency. She doesn't flood him with constant texts, clingy calls, or pressure. Instead, she shows presence. She mirrors his tempo. She listens with her eyes, her posture, her energy. In a world where everyone screams to be seen, she's rare, because she watches quietly and understands deeply. And that's what makes her different. She doesn't try to decode the Sigma man. She tunes into him. No instruction manual needed, no rehearsed questions, just real, calibrated presence. Most relationships are built on projection. This is what I want you to be, not this one. The signal reader doesn't project, she perceives, and that's a gift that makes her not just compatible, but unforgettable. 2. Fireproof femininity. She's not soft in the way the world sells softness. She's soft like lava, like velvet wrapped around steel. She has her own heat, but she doesn't burn out the room. She warms, centers, and calms. When things get hard, and they do, she doesn't melt down. She holds her posture. She doesn't react to chaos. She regulates it. She's the kind of woman who doesn't flinch when he's silent for hours. She doesn't panic when the connection goes quiet. She knows what real inner stability feels like, because she's built it. Fireproof femininity means she doesn't need constant emotional babysitting. She's emotionally literate, not emotionally dependent. She knows how to self-soothe, which makes her rare in a culture built on instant validation. She doesn't crumble when the Sigma male pulls away to process. She doesn't interpret his space as rejection. That's key, because the Sigma isn't avoiding her. He's maintaining his identity, and the fireproof woman understands the difference. She also doesn't play the emotional games so many modern relationships are filled with, the power struggles, the tests, the over-analysis. She doesn't need to control him to feel secure. Her peace doesn't depend on his constant proximity. What attracts the Sigma to her is that she doesn't need to be the center of his world to know she matters in it. She doesn't beg for reassurance. Her strength isn't loud, it's quietly immovable. Most women try to prove their worth through demand. She proves hers through presence. No drama, no performance. Just a deep, consistent, warm fire that doesn't need attention, but commands respect. 3. The mirror with no agenda. Most people want you to change to make them more comfortable. But this woman, she doesn't need to redesign the Sigma. She reflects him. not reshapes him. She's the mirror that doesn't distort. She shows him who he is, not who she wishes he would be. No manipulation, no control tactics, no passive-aggressive hints, just real reflection. She holds up truth gently but directly. When he's wrong, she doesn't attack. When he's silent, she doesn't chase. When he's vulnerable, she doesn't exploit it. And here's the rare part. She doesn't compete with his solitude. She respects it. She knows that a Sigma male isn't wired for constant emotional exhibitionism. He opens up when it's safe, not when it's demanded. And she becomes that safe space. Not by pushing, but by allowing. She doesn't try to prove she's better than his independence. She enhances it. She doesn't see herself as fixing him. She sees herself as walking beside him, not above, not beneath, but aligned. A lot of women demand transformation. Be more available, be more expressive. She doesn't demand. She draws the truth out of him naturally because he knows he's not being judged or measured, he's being seen. That's the kind of mirror that changes lives, not because it forces change, but because it invites real reflection. 4. The sovereign soul. She doesn't orbit his mission, she's on her own. That's why he respects her. A Sigma male isn't looking for someone to complete him. He's complete. What he values is complement, not dependency. And this woman has her own gravity, her own projects, her own kingdom to build. She doesn't need him to validate her existence. She's not a background character in his story. She's writing her own. That's why they connect, not through need, but through vision. She doesn't flinch when he's immersed in work, when he's unavailable for shallow conversation. She respects it because she's the same. She gets flow state. She knows what it's like to disappear into purpose. And instead of resenting it, she celebrates it because she lives it. That's why the Sigma can trust her. She's not in it for the spotlight. She's not addicted to attention. She's focused, not performative. She supports without shrinking. She loves without losing herself. In a world full of people chasing partners to escape their lives, the sovereign soul is rare because she builds her life first, then chooses love with clarity. She doesn't follow the Sigma. She walks next to him. And that kind of alignment, that's rare air. 5. Mystery meets mystery. In a world obsessed with oversharing, she remains an enigma, not because she's hiding something, but because she knows her value doesn't lie in exposure. She's not the type to post every meal, every moment, every emotion. She's not performing for the algorithm. She's living for something deeper. This is exactly why the Sigma is drawn to her. He doesn't want a woman whose soul is on display for the masses. He wants a woman who protects her mystery, who reveals herself like pages in a book, not a pop-up ad. And she gets it because she's the same. Mystery isn't about being aloof or inaccessible. It's about depth. She's not unreadable. She's layered. And with every layer, there's substance, there's intention, there's earned access. Sigma males live in the shadows of the mainstream. They don't explain themselves to everyone. They move in silence and act with precision. So when a woman enters his life who doesn't demand constant access, who actually values privacy and pacing, it's a magnetic connection. The truth is, most people today are addicted to constant attention. But the Sigma and this woman, they're addicted to alignment. They don't need to constantly talk to stay connected. They don't panic when there's a pause. They understand that mystery creates magnetism. She doesn't reveal everything on the first date, or even the 10th, and she doesn't need to know everything about him right away either. She's comfortable in the unknown, because she's secure in herself. That confidence in the slow reveal, that's the glue that binds two deeply independent souls. Mystery isn't manipulation, it's depth with boundaries. And this woman is a fortress of depth. She doesn't fear being misunderstood by the world, because she's only looking to be understood by one man. And the Sigma? He sees her fully. 6. Respect over validation. The Sigma doesn't need praise. He doesn't need cheerleaders. What he needs, and what hits different, is respect. Not in the loud, public, performative way, in the quiet, daily, almost invisible way. And this woman, she gets that. She doesn't inflate his ego. She respects his essence. She doesn't validate him with shallow compliments. She honors his process, his solitude, his silence, his grind. A lot of people in relationships try to win power through validation, giving love just to get love back. But she's past that. She's not here to trade validation like currency. She gives respect without control, affection without agenda. She challenges him, but never in a way that undercuts his identity. She asks questions not to trap, but to understand. When she disagrees, it's not an emotional ambush. It's an invitation to grow, and that's rare. The Sigma male doesn't respond to neediness. He responds to integrity. So when he meets a woman who doesn't need him to be anything other than who he is, that opens the door to trust. And when a Sigma trusts, that's where real intimacy begins. She never uses affection as leverage. She's not hot and cold to create insecurity. She doesn't weaponize withdrawal. She's emotionally mature, which is magnetic to a man who has zero time for drama. Respect over validation means she doesn't flatter, she affirms. She doesn't try to boost his ego. She reflects his impact, and she does it because she sees him, not just his potential, but his presence. That kind of woman. She's not common, she's elite. Because she's already built the self-respect that allows her to give real respect. And that's the kind of energy a Sigma can build with. 7. Time warp patience. Time isn't a weapon in her hands, it's a tool. She doesn't rush emotional connection. She doesn't count hours between texts. She doesn't equate urgency with importance. She has what most people don't, emotional patience. And not the fake kind where she says she's fine, but secretly seething. No, the real kind. The kind that's born from security and self-respect. The Sigma moves slow because he moves with depth. Every word is considered, every step intentional. He's not rushing into emotional fireworks. He's building a fire that lasts, and she knows that. She doesn't pressure him to define the relationship 2 weeks in. She doesn't crumble when he needs a day to think or a week to recalibrate. She doesn't push timelines because she values alignment over artificial speed. Time warp patience means she understands that the right connection doesn't need to be forced. She's not trying to get somewhere. She's trying to build something real. In a world addicted to instant gratification, her ability to wait, with grace, not resentment, is revolutionary. That doesn't mean she's passive. It means she's aware. She's tuned into his pace and honors it without losing herself. When he's distant, she's not reactive. When he's silent, she's not suspicious. Because she trusts his nature. She knows that pressure creates resistance, but patience builds bridges. This isn't about tolerating bad behavior. It's about knowing when to flow, and she flows. Not because she lacks standards, but because she has deep wisdom. The Sigma doesn't forget women like this, because in a culture where most people panic at silence, she becomes a sanctuary, not just a partner. 8. Shadow walker. Every Sigma has shadows, trauma, scars, memories that don't fade. He's been shaped by solitude, sometimes by betrayal, and most people either try to fix him or flee from that darkness. But not her. She walks with it, not to heal it for him, but to understand it with him. This woman has met her own darkness. She's faced her own grief, her own confusion, her own fears. That's why his intensity doesn't scare her. It intrigues her, because she recognizes it. She doesn't flinch when he opens up. She doesn't label his pain as too much. She doesn't run when he's not all smiles and strength. She knows that the Sigma's power is forged through pain, and that's exactly what gives him depth. She doesn't minimize it. She doesn't exploit it. She honors it. Shadow walking means she can hold space for his rage, his silence, his memories, not to fix them, but to witness them. She doesn't expect him to be perfect. She expects him to be real. And that's a gift most people can't give. Most relationships collapse when the shadow enters the room. Not this one. Because she's walked through her own. She's not naive. She's wise. And that makes her dangerous in the best way. The Sigma male doesn't open up easily, but when he finds someone who sees his shadow and still stays, that's loyalty. That's rare. And that's power. 9. No script presence. She's not playing a role. She's not acting out a version of femininity designed by Instagram trends or dating coaches. She shows up as she is, unfiltered, unforced, and fully present. That authenticity, it's a rare trait in a world full of curated personalities. And for a Sigma male, who has a built-in radar for inauthenticity, it's magnetic. She doesn't over-explain or overshare to be liked. She doesn't try to impress with filters or fake vulnerability. Her power comes from comfort in her own skin. She isn't performing, she's existing with clarity. The Sigma doesn't want theatrics. He wants presence, real presence, the kind that feels like peace in a chaotic world. And that's what she brings. She's not obsessed with perception, she's grounded in truth. No script presence means she can sit in silence without discomfort. She doesn't need to fill the room with words. She's not afraid of stillness. In fact, she thrives in it. She doesn't follow the classic script of say this to make him chase, do this to seem mysterious. She doesn't manipulate attention, she commands it by being real, and when you're real, you're undeniable. Most people are chasing an identity. She's embodying hers. That grounded energy gives the Sigma something he rarely feels in the world: ease. Because in a life full of calculation, the woman who brings raw, grounded presence becomes a home he never knew he needed, and now can't forget. 10th, chaos-resistant chemistry. She's not high maintenance, she's high awareness. That means she knows how to handle tension without turning it into a tornado. Chemistry with a Sigma male doesn't look like constant flirting or dramatic highs. It looks like depth, mutual respect, and a rhythm that doesn't collapse when stress hits. And she brings that. She doesn't escalate minor issues into battles. She doesn't weaponize emotion. When something goes wrong, and it will, she doesn't go nuclear. She pauses, she thinks. She responds with emotional agility, not emotional outbursts. The Sigma male often deals with overstimulation from the outside world. He's constantly observing, absorbing, adapting. So when he's with someone who brings calm instead of chaos, it's oxygen. This kind of chemistry doesn't burn out. It builds. It doesn't explode on contact. It deepens with time, and it doesn't just feel good. It functions well. She's not perfect, but she's centered, and that's what makes the connection durable. It can weather stress, miscommunication, even conflict, because she doesn't make conflict a war. A lot of relationships have chemistry that's addictive but unstable. With her, it's the opposite. Grounded, passionate, but built to last. That's what makes her unforgettable to a Sigma who values peace over performance. Let's call it for what it is. The Sigma male isn't hard to love, he's just hard to fake it with. He doesn't need a partner in selfies, he needs a partner in silence, sovereignty and strategy. Someone who can walk next to his solitude and not try to fix it, fill it, or fear it. The woman built for him doesn't come from the crowd. She comes from the fire. She's been tempered by experience, not trends. She's fluent in calm, and she holds her own center like a fortress. She doesn't chase. She doesn't cling. She doesn't collapse under distance. She doesn't need to be saved because she's saved herself already, and that's why the Sigma doesn't just want her. He respects her, because at the end of the day, it's not about looks, talk, or even effort. It's about alignment. It's about energy that doesn't pull. It runs parallel. And that kind of match? That's not built on rules, it's built on frequency. If you felt this, not just understood it, but felt it in your core, drop a comment. Let me know which point hit you hardest. And if you're one of the rare women who saw herself in this, stay real, stay radiant, stay rare. To my ascenders, if you're building silently, thinking independently, and living by your own code, you're not alone. You're just early. Subscribe to Sigma Ascends, where being different isn't a disadvantage. It's your advantage. Until next time, stay sharp, stay sovereign, and never forget, you were never meant to fit in. You were built to ascend.